John Singer Sargent, 1856-1925, was an American painter renowned for his stunning portraits and masterful technique. Born in Florence, Italy, to American expatriates, Sargent had a cosmopolitan upbringing, traveling extensively throughout Europe. This exposure to different cultures and artistic traditions deeply influenced his style. Sargent studied at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris under the renowned portraitist Carolus Duran, whose emphasis on capturing the essence of the subject with bold brushstrokes and a keen sense of light greatly impacted Sargent's development. By the time he was in his 20s, Sargent was already earning acclaim for his portraits, displaying a combination of technical precision, elegance, and an ability to reveal the character of his sitters. His early career in Paris flourished until the scandal surrounding his portrait, Madame X, 1884, which depicted the French socialite Virginie Gautreau. The daring pose and the perceived sensuality of the painting shocked Parisian society, leading Sargent to relocate to London. Despite the initial backlash, Madame X later became one of his most famous works. In London, Sargent's reputation soared, and he became the most sought-after portraitist of his time, painting the elite and influential figures of society. His portraits are known for their realism, vivid character portrayals, and luxurious depictions of clothing and textures. However, by the early 1900s, Sargent grew tired of portrait commissions and shifted his focus to landscape painting, watercolor, and large-scale murals. His travels during this period inspired some of his most vibrant and expressive works. Throughout his career, Sargent was admired for his ability to capture both the physical appearance and the inner life of his subjects with fluid, lively brushwork. He was also noted for his ability to paint different textures, satin, velvet, lace, with extraordinary skill. Although sometimes criticized as being more of a technician than an innovator, Sargent's work remains influential and beloved for its combination of technical brilliance and psychological depth. John Singer Sargent passed away in 1925 in London, leaving behind a legacy as one of the greatest portrait artists of his time, with works displayed in prestigious museums and galleries around the world. John Singer Sargent's My Dining Room, c. 1885, is an evocative interior scene that showcases the artist's masterful use of light and shadow. In this painting, Sargent captures the warm, subdued atmosphere of a dining room after a meal. The table is still set with plates, glasses, and napkins, but the focus is not on the objects themselves. Instead, Sargent's loose brushwork and soft lighting create a mood that feels intimate and lived in. The room is dimly lit, with the majority of the scene enveloped in shadows. The highlights, especially the reflections on the bottles and the gentle glow on the tablecloth, add depth and warmth to the composition. The dark tones and earthy colors give the painting a feeling of quiet solitude, almost as if the viewer has stepped into a private, unobserved moment. Sargent's brushstrokes are swift and impressionistic, leaving details slightly blurred. Rather than emphasizing precise realism, the painting conveys a sense of fleeting ambiance and atmosphere. The blurred lines and soft edges create a dreamlike quality, enhancing the quiet, reflective mood of the scene. My Dining Room is a beautiful example of how Sargent could infuse simple, everyday settings with emotion and personality through his signature brushwork and keen observation of light. John Singer Sargent's Hospital at Granada, 1912, is a captivating scene that captures the light and atmosphere of a Spanish hospital courtyard. The painting depicts a group of patients, visitors, and hospital staff within a spacious sunlit colonnade. The architecture, with its arches and columns, serves as the backdrop for this slice of life, where people are engaged in various activities, from conversing to resting. The use of light in this painting is remarkable, with sunlight streaming through the open space and casting sharp shadows on the floor. Sargent's characteristic brushwork is evident in the loose, expressive strokes that capture both the forms of the figures and the play of light on surfaces. The scene is bathed in warm tones, with the bright light emphasizing the vibrancy of life, even in a place associated with healing and recovery. The composition is dynamic, with a balance between the busy interaction of figures on the right side and the quieter resting patients on the left. The figures are portrayed in various states of relaxation, from seated conversations to a person lying down, perhaps convalescing. Despite the subject being a hospital, the atmosphere feels lively and almost social, with a sense of community among the people depicted. Sargent's ability to capture the essence of a place, along with the interplay of light and shadow, makes Hospital at Granada a powerful depiction of everyday life. The painting invites the viewer to linger and observe the small details, like the way light bounces off the tiled floors, or how the figures blend into their surroundings while still conveying individual character. The scene is both realistic and impressionistic, showcasing Sargent's mastery in balancing detail with mood and atmosphere. John Singer Sargent's Madame X, Madame Pierre Gautreau, painted in 1884, is one of the most iconic portraits in art history, known for its elegance, scandal, and masterful execution. This full-length portrait of Virginie Amélie Avignon Gautreau, a renowned Parisian socialite, caused a sensation when it was first exhibited at the Paris Salon, largely because of its provocative portrayal and the boldness of the subject's pose. Sargent's depiction of Madame Gautreau is striking. She stands in a confident and commanding pose, turned in profile, with her head held high, emphasizing her graceful neck and delicate features. She wears a sleek black satin gown with jeweled straps, designed to highlight her famously pale skin. The contrast between her fair complexion and the dark dress creates a dramatic visual effect, further accentuated by the simple, flat background that allows her figure to dominate the composition. The dress, with its plunging neckline and figure-hugging silhouette, was considered daring for the time. Originally, Sargent painted one of the straps slipping off her shoulder, which was perceived as too suggestive and led to considerable public outcry. The criticism was so intense that Sargent eventually repainted the strap to sit firmly in place, though the controversy had already left its mark. Despite the scandal, Madame X is a masterclass in portraiture. The painting exemplifies Sargent's exceptional skill in rendering textures, from the sheen of the satin dress to the smoothness of her skin. The delicate play of light and shadow enhances the three-dimensionality of the figure, giving her an almost statuesque presence. Sargent's use of restrained color, limited primarily to the contrast between the black dress, the gold of the table, and her pale skin, focuses all attention on the subject. These subtle details, like the red tint on her ears and nose, hint at a living presence beneath the poised exterior, adding depth and realism. While the painting initially damaged Sargent's reputation in Paris, it eventually became one of his most celebrated works. Today, it is regarded as a defining image of Belle Époque elegance, as well as a symbol of Sargent's ability to capture both the physical likeness and the complex character of his subjects. Madame X remains a fascinating portrayal of beauty, confidence, and the powerful impact of art on societal norms. John Singer Sargent's Two Wine Glasses, 1874, is an early work that beautifully captures a quiet moment in an outdoor setting. The painting depicts a simple yet inviting scene of a table set in a shaded terrace with 2 glasses of red wine in the foreground. The setting appears to be a garden or a veranda, bathed in dappled sunlight filtering through the foliage overhead. The composition is intimate and relaxed, inviting the viewer to imagine themselves in this tranquil spot, enjoying a leisurely afternoon. The 2 glasses of wine, positioned on a tray in the foreground, draw the viewer's attention immediately. The deep red of the wine contrasts with the warm tones of the sunlit tablecloth and the surrounding greenery, creating a subtle but effective focal point. Sargent's brushwork is loose and impressionistic, particularly in the depiction of the leaves, vines, and dappled light. The interplay between light and shadow adds depth to the scene and conveys the warmth of the afternoon sun. The latticework of the trellis and the soft shadows cast on the table enhance the sense of enclosure and coziness. Despite the simplicity of the subject, the painting exudes a sense of atmosphere and mood. The soft, muted colors and gentle light evoke a feeling of calm and quiet enjoyment. The scene is devoid of figures, allowing the viewer to focus entirely on the setting itself, as if they've just arrived at this peaceful spot and are about to take a seat at the table. Two Wine Glasses is a perfect example of Sargent's ability to elevate everyday scenes into works of art. Even in this early piece, his mastery of light, texture, and mood is evident, offering a glimpse of the extraordinary talent that would define his later career.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share the videos. Hit the bell icon to get notified about new content.